Guess who forgot to do Boney Island again? Yay! That's how we're going to be starting off today's episode. Guys, welcome back to Total Villain Multiverse. We are already on episode 9. Can y'all believe that? We're speeding through these. Now, as y'all know, there wasn't one on Monday. If y'all didn't see the post, that was because I was very busy. And I think I said it in the last Multiverse episode that I will be trying to get one out every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I know for a fact there will be one this Friday, but I might have some days where I miss because it's Christmas break, right? And I got a lot of stuff I need to do over Christmas break for like family time and hanging out with people and stuff. But I'll still try to get to y'all. Now, as for the Boney Island stuff, I'm going to quickly go over who I think they would have sent over since I forgot to do that last time. So I think that Fiore would send Sasha over, as Sasha would volunteer since Sasha wants to kind of prove to her team that she isn't just a crybaby wuss. She's like an actual good player when she's not having her hacked brain make her even more depressed than she already is. Alejandro's allies, they'd probably just send Bowser. I'm pretty sure they sent, I can't remember who they sent last time. If they did send Bowser, we'll just say they sent Heather. Because either way, Alejandro's not going to send these three because there's a very clear divide right there. So, Bowser. And then on Vader's Vanguard, I think he'll probably just send Death because Death is someone he knows can be really good at finding this stuff. Now, Boney Island is already in pretty much ruin. And I think that this wouldn't help too much. I think Death and Bowser would fight quite a bit. And since Death doesn't have access to the final reality, I think he would genuinely struggle a little bit with how much Bowser has his fire. But I don't think... Oops, I just dropped that. I don't think that Bowser could beat Death, just because he's a little clumsy, a little too goofy for that. But I do think that it would be able to distract them both long enough for Sasha to tactically maneuver around them both and find it first. I think that she would find today's advantage. So, yeah, I think she'd be able to outmaneuver the other two as they're distracted with each other for the rest of the night. And in the morning, when Lauren comes to pick them up, or Lauren, Six, whoever, Sasha gives them the immunity. And I think her team would be pretty proud of her for that. On Alejandro's allies and Vader's Vanguard, I don't think they're too upset. I think Vader would be a little surprised that Death lost to a normal teenage girl, but Death would be like, oh, I was distracted, and she's smarter than she looks, but she's not wrong. So, yeah, as for the actual pre-challenge section, what do I think happens here? Well, I think we need to talk about Fiore's favorites, as they're the team that just lost Zombie Wanda. Well, as y'all know, Sin was friends with Zombie Wanda, so she is not in a good mood. However, she's also extremely smart and knows that if she does like freak out and start going crazy, she'll either be kicked off the show or voted off immediately. So her goal, or her plan, is to stay quiet and to just win every challenge possible. And she's very happy that Sasha was able to get this advantage today. Meanwhile, Venom is pretty frustrated with Wanda going home, but since she was so good in challenges, but they still have Sin, so he's not too mad about it. And he still thinks hanging with Fiore is pretty cool. Kind of in like an Alec Fiore situation, just a little more aggressive, I guess. And as for the other teams, again, Alejandro's allies, it's just that clear divide between Sloane, Azula, and Afton. And then Alejandro, Heather, and Bowser. And then on Vader's Vanguard, it's still we got Toga and Daisy in the minority, with Death kind of not as in the alliance as the others, but still a part of the alliance. Kind of, but the main alliance is the Mimic, Magica, and Lord Vader. So, Now we move on to our actual challenge section, and our challenge for the day has been suggested by Twinber Wolves. Now, this challenge is a pretty cool one, and actually, yeah, let me say this before. Um, if you want your challenge to be in a video, to be featured in a video, all you have to do is go comment down below, give me a name of your challenge, give me an advantage for the challenge, and also give me like what the challenge actually is. And assuming it's not too boring, too complicated, or too similar to a different challenge that I've already done or has already been done in Total Drama or Disventure Camp, I will probably do it because I don't get like an insane amount to where I won't have time to get through all of them. So yeah, you might as well go do that. But basically, this challenge is Challenge 55, Two Truths and a Lie. So teams will take turns asking a member of an opposing team for two truths and a lie. They must guess which of these three statements about themselves is a lie. I mean, it's basically just the game that everyone's played at like a sleepover before. After 5 rounds, whichever team has the least amount of points at the end will be sent to elimination. Now, someone did find the advantage, and this advantage is if someone finds the idol, the advantage idol, they will be given a lie detector for 1 round. Now, they can choose which round this is, and the reason why this isn't insanely broken is because some of these people are really good liars, and it would be really hard to, otherwise. So, as an example for this, if Fiore's favorites, well, it was their turn, and they could ask anybody from any of the other teams for two truths and a lie. So let's say they ask Alejandro, and Alejandro says, "Oh, I don't know." She says, "I have a kid. I love my brother, and well, I guess that'd be two lies and then a truth, but whatever. And my favorite color is red." Then they guess, right? And everyone would decide on Fiore's favorites together. They'd have to see who would decide, and then one of them would say what their final answer is. Um, but yeah, it's definitely one that's a lot more toned down than the others. But we'll start with Vader's Vanguard. And I think on Vader's Vanguard, they're gonna go ahead. They can think pretty strategically because some of these people do know the others. And I'd say one of those people is Daisy, or no, Toga. Yeah, we can use Toga. And Toga would convince the others for them to go for Alejandro. And Alejandro would say something along the lines of, I think he'd say as his lie, "I love my brother." I think he'd say his favorite color is red. He's wearing the red shirt, so maybe he'd think that like some reverse psychology would make them think that he's trying to trick them, but actually he's tricking them by making them think he's tricking them. That sounds like something Alejandro would do. And then the other truth would be, I don't know, he's originally from Mexico, because I'm like 99% sure he is. I don't think he's from Canada, and I doubt I don't know. He's originally from wherever he's originally from. Well, I think that he wouldn't expect Toga to know this just because, he wouldn't expect the other team to know this just because, he hasn't really talked to them that much. Especially since he's new to this. He wasn't part of all the lore last season. But of course, Toga, if y'all know Toga, she knows everything about him because she crushed on him a little bit. So yeah, she knows everything. So because of that, they are able to get a point. Now, this also does creep Alejandro out quite a bit. So then we go to, I guess we can do Alejandro's allies next. And I think this is where Sloane would start to become a little bit more of an MVP again. And this is where I think she would go, since she studied a lot of people. Who do I think she knows the most about? I think she studied the final reality quite a bit, and I think that's why she'd go for Death. So what do I think Death would say as his two truths and a lie? I think his lie would be that he finds the concept of multiple lives awesome. I think his truth would be, oh, what do I think his truth would be? That his weapon of choice is sickles, which, I mean, a lot of people don't really know because he didn't really use his sickles too much in that final battle. He mainly used just him teleporting around and sending people to the final reality. And he hasn't had his weapons that much throughout the season yet. But I think his other truth would be, I don't really know. Maybe that he has a crush on somebody. But I think, well, that wouldn't be a truth. That'd be a lie. So I guess maybe that he's never had feelings for anyone in his entire existence. I think it'd be a better one. And I think Sloan would be able to decipher that the lie is that he likes the concept of multiple lives. So, boom. Now, Fiore's favorites, I think that they would just go ahead and use their advantage immediately. And they would use it on someone they know would be really good at telling lies. And while there is a lot of very villainous people here, I actually think they would do it for Daisy. Just because a lot of them know, especially Fiore, because Fiore, Alejandro, and Heather were given like little blurbs about who each person is and a little bit about them at the beginning of the season as team leader. She would know that Daisy is definitely a big liar, so she would use it on there, and it doesn't really matter what Daisy says, even if she tries to make it like muddied a little bit. They have a lie detector, so obviously they're going to get the point. Now, this means that everyone got a win here, but when we come to round two, I think this is where we start to go a little faster, like with a little compilation. I think Vader's Vanguard. I'm gonna skip rounds 2 and 3 for y'all so that it doesn't get boring. So we'll say throughout rounds 2 and 3, Vader's Vanguard was able to get to 2. Then Alejandro's Allies has gotten to 3, while Fiore's Favorites has also gotten to 3. So that means Vader's Vanguard did screw up once. So they're falling behind a little bit. Now, I think that when it comes to round 4, we'll start back up with Vader's Vanguard again, and they really got to take up some space or make up some time, whatever you want to say. And I think that they would be able to. I think that we'll have them try to go for. Oh, the Mimic can go for Afton. And I think that since he's literally mimicked Afton before, I think that that'd be an easy point for himself. So they get up to 3 points. But they're not going to stay tied for long because Alejandro's Allies, Afton goes the same way. Goes straight for the Mimic since Afton has built the Mimic, so, or at least the Mex's virus, so I think it'd be pretty easy for them to get back up to 4. And as for Fiore's Favorites, I think that who do I think? I actually think that Venom and Sin would try to both go for Afton as well, as the 3 of them have at least interacted quite a bit since they've known each other since season 1. So I think that they together would be able to get that, which brings them up to 4. So we get to round 5, and while it looks like things are impossible for Vader's Vanguard to even, or to do anything but tie, I actually think that this is where Lauren, to make things more interesting, would introduce a twist that all guesses this round are now worth 2 points instead of 1. And because of that, I think that Vader's Vanguard would really lock in. Because, I mean, there's still a chance that the other 2 get up to 6 points and they lose, but they can try to just not get lashed. And I think Vader's Vanguard probably would do it. I mean, they got a lot of smart people on here, like Magica, Vader, Toga's a bit of a creep. Maybe they could go for Heather, and I think Toga would know a little bit about Heather as well as Daisy knowing stuff about Heather. So overall, I think that they would probably be able to get this, bringing them out of last. But let's see if they can hold it. So Alejandro's Allies, I think that Heather would go Daisy, thinking that they've already gone Toga at this point. So I think she'd go Daisy, thinking that, oh, she knew Harley, she knows Daisy. She gossiped about Daisy a lot. And by the way, Daisy and Heather, they aren't not friends, but Daisy's been distancing herself because she's trying to be kinder. She was gossiping quite a bit with Heather. Um, and I actually think that Heather would get this incorrect because I think that she'd only have ever been interacting with Daisy on a non-personal level, talking crap about everyone else, and never really personally knowing her. So Daisy would be able to easily lie to her. Yeah, which means that they actually lose, and that really pisses off a lot of these three. That doesn't really piss off these two, though, because they're bonding with Heather, but they still are annoyed that, okay, well, now we literally can't get first. So they have to rely on the fact that Fiore's favorites might lose this. If they do, then we'll go into a tiebreaker. If they don't, then we won't. But who do I think they'd go for? I think that they'd actually go for Magica, because I think Sasha would say she doesn't know a lot about Lena, but Lena is part of the MFA, and by extension, she's interacted at least a little bit with each MFA member. So I think that they just barely, along with the help of everyone else on the team, they just barely be able to make it, bringing them up to 6 points, meaning that Fiore's favorites has won today's challenge. Vader's Vanguard came in second, but Alejandro's Allies has lost and will be sent to elimination. So let's get to our post-challenge section, where I don't think that too much is going on with Fiore's favorites or or Vader's Vanguard. But Alejandro's Allies is just, it's getting to full-on prepare mode, where we have Alejandro, Heather, and Bowser, who know damn well that they cannot, that they're not flipping anyone else on the other side, versus Sloan, Azula, and Afton, who know damn well they're not flipping anyone on the other side. So they're all just kind of training. Now, Alejandro, Heather, and Bowser are very obviously not as powerful as the other three, but what they're hoping is that Lauren can see this and make a tiebreaker, since she knows as well there's going to be a tiebreaker. Make a tiebreaker where it's less about like strength or powers or whatever. Well, I think that who do I think they would end up voting for? I mean, yeah, we can kind of just go to elimination. I think that Alejandro, Heather, and Bowser would try to think who they have the best chance against, and I think that'd be Azula, simply because she's not as smart. She's still very smart, but she's not as smart as the other two. And also her fire powers, unless it's a fire-making tiebreaker, which I probably will never have again, since that was literally all of the tiebreakers in Season 1. I might change that when I remake Season 1. I think that it wouldn't be that. They'd assume that it wouldn't be that. And I think that they can also try to take advantage of her temper, because she's not the calmest person in the world. And as for Sloan, Azula, and Afton, well, they thought about originally just going for Heather, because Heather is probably the weakest of the three when it comes to, like, physical stats and, like, what most people would do, or how most people would do in, like, most tiebreakers. But I think they'd actually take a little bit of a risk, not too much of a risk, but still a little bit of a risk, and go Alejandro, mainly because Alejandro is team leader, and they really want to acquire that team leader spot. So if they can get Alejandro out of here, that means that they can make either Sloan or Afton or Azula the team leader, and then Heather and Bowser are really on the outs. So yeah, let's go ahead and see how this tiebreaker would go on. I think that, what do I think Lauren would make the tiebreaker? I think she could make it would have to be themed around today's challenge. So it would have to, maybe it's Two Truths and a Lie, but it's about Lauren, and they both, it's who knows Lauren best. Well, I think that this team is the only team with nobody who, like, really knows a lot about Lauren, because on the other team you have people like Daisy, and then on the other team you have, like, I guess Sasha to an extent. But I think that Alejandro would probably lose I think he just wouldn't know as much as Azula, especially with Azula getting help by Sloane through some, like, because obviously they're not allowed to help, but I think Sloane would find some way to cheat. Um, and I think that Alejandro does get eliminated here, which, once again, another big name gone. Guys, this season has just been big name after big name after big name. Like, I'm not even trying to do it for shock value. I was with Malik. But now it's for story reasons that all these big characters are really getting out. I mean, Elmo wasn't big. Malik was. Andreas wasn't big. Zambos, Harley, Wanda, and Alejandro. I think most people were guessing all four of those would make merge, especially around the time Zambos got out. They were expecting Zambos, Harley, and Alejandro especially. But I thought about it, and while I know I need the total drama and adventure camp characters to be a big part of the season, one, because I want them to, and two, because click value, and it's a total drama and adventure camp channel, I think that I wanted to get one of them out here so that it didn't feel a little bit too forced. And that ended up being Alejandro. Also, another thing, before we actually get to our Boney Island section, because I just realized I almost forgot it, another thing is, this season was originally going to be the season where I tried to focus on the guys more. Because I have, in the last two seasons, given a lot more focus to the girls than the guys, with both of the last two seasons finales being two girls, with Monica and Luz, and then with Patrice and Sky. But this time around, I wanted it to be different. And I don't think it's working, because we have had 7 eliminations so far, and 5 of them have been male. So I might need to start turning things around, because on Fiore's favorites, there's 4 girls and 2 guys. On Vader's Vanguard, there's 3 girls and 3 guys. And on Alejandro's allies, there's 3 girls and 2 guys. So I'm not spoiling anything, but we'll see if I can make it to where some of the guys get more focused. Because, I mean, like, even if I'm looking at it, the guys that only even have, like, big dynamics are, like, Vader and the Mimic. Because even Afton isn't even the main part of his dynamic. But yeah, okay, one more thing before Boney Island that I just realized we have to do. Obviously, Heather and Bowser will vote for, Heather will vote for herself and Bowser will vote for Heather. But Azula, Sloane, and Afton all vote Sloane to be the new team leader, which means, what do I think it'd be called?